Hello, how the tech are you? This is our weekly tech show on Echoplex Media. We talk about tech news, science news, and we're still making fun of billionaires. Somehow it comes up every single week. I don't know why. But I'm historian Matt. I talk about a lot of tech news and science news. Today, it's a little bit different than usual, but I've been covering a lot of AI stuff, and this one has to do with the AI. So this is I didn't put a title on this. So basically, there's a bunch of industry professionals, AI industry professionals, who signed a letter to say, we need to pause, training AI for 6 months until we can get our head around it. I'll go into a little more detail. There's some more info on that, but that's all I got. I think that's going to be a big discussion. HK is on an adventure. He'll hopefully be back next week. So you with the mic.
So I have we'll do This Week in Elon. He's some pump and dump scandal, if you could imagine that. And then I don't know, if you have more than 5 million files on your Google Drive, I guess they're coming for you. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as I said, there's a open letter to the AI industry from, it's 1,100 people that are supposedly in the AI industry. It's not really easy to verify like who these 11 people are that they actually signed it. So Elon Musk is one of the people who supposedly signed it, and Steve Wozniak. Now, Elon Musk has in the past questioned AI and whether we should be pushing forward so quickly about it. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know about Steve Wozniak, but basically they're saying, and I think this was reported in some other media that I saw a little bit incorrectly. They're calling on a pause for training these AI systems, not necessarily a pause on doing research for AI systems. And they want to do a pause for 6 months. And basically they want to sort of develop safety protocols. Exactly what that means in this area, this industry is not entirely clear from what I can tell, but yeah, they want to do a pause and try and come up with a sort of open standards or general standards for safety protocols. And the pause is currently set up to say, hey, we don't want to train anything bigger, train any models, anything bigger than the current Chat GPT-4, which is the big large language model that everybody is so excited about. It's the update to the GPT-3 that made a big splash before. And this is a Slashdot article. So there's more info. There's a lot of comments in there that were actually kind of interesting. I know Slashdot's kind of weird on the comments, but to check it out. So my big question is, if Elon Musk really did sign this article, do you think he'll stop developing the self-driving cars?
I don't know if that's the same thing, right? Are they talking
AI, but it's not the same kind of thing. But it's just funny that Elon Musk is attacking these other AI systems when he has an AI system in this car company that he owns that is causing a lot of problems. It is not working well and causing a lot of wrecks.
Not a fan of children.
Controversy around it.
Yeah, not a fan of children, from what I understand.
Yeah. It's apparently really bad. Like it's kind of a joke in the industry. But I'm assuming he's not going to like stop working on it or pausing, or more importantly, he's probably not going to remove it from all the cars that are using it now because of safety questions, which would be the best thing to do, I think, right now. But then he can't claim that he has full self-driving cars that are not really full self-driving.
So I'm just curious, and I didn't look into this story like at all. I'm just curious if they mean specifically these large language models, or if they just mean any attempted AI or machine learning.
I mean, it definitely seemed to be focused on the large language models. I don't know if it includes stuff like Stable Diffusion, which of course HK and I have been doing a lot of stuff with him more recently. And because the generative art AI, there's some legal questions around it, but it's not really that dangerous. Otherwise, the most dangerous thing probably about is people might lose their jobs, even though they really shouldn't because it's not that useful yet. But yeah.
Right. And it's not good enough yet to make something that you could pass off as a real photo.
You can pass stuff off as real photos. I don't know if you saw the Pope photo that was going around with the big puffy jacket. If you look really closely, you can see where it screwed up, like particularly in the hands and stuff, but it fooled a lot of people. I didn't know what was going on at first, and it kind of fooled me at first until I found out like, oh, that was AI generated. But I thought it was really well done.
I mean, that's not something that someone couldn't have done with Photoshop. It would have just taken a lot longer, and somebody would have to have pretty good Photoshop skills to do that.
They would have to have really good Photoshop skills to pull that off.
Yeah. I don't know, because I don't know what pausing for 6 months is going to, like, what does that even mean, to like pause for 6 months and then everybody argue about the ethics of AI for 6 months and then just pick right up where they left off? It's unclear to me, like, what the pause is for. I mean, you said to discuss ethics, but it seems like nobody's in charge. So there's no like decision maker.
I don't know how that's going to work, because like, what if like the people in the US pause work on AI for 6 months? You think like China is going to pause and actually follow the protocols? They might follow after like the protocols are made, but they're probably not going to pause anything because they want to get ahead in AI. Anybody else is going to want to get ahead. They're not going to pause like military applications. As somebody in the Slashdot article, one of the comments was like, hey, what about like military? Do you think they're going to pause and think about ethics or safety protocols or anything? I mean, they may think about safety protocols for their own people, right?
Right. These open letters, and you said 1,100. I think when we looked at it, it was over 5,000.
Okay.
That it signed it, but that's fine. I mean,
the article that I pulled this from is a little old. I didn't actually notice. They did have a link to the actual open letter. I didn't notice the number, what it was up to now.
I don't know. These open letters, they usually nothing ever happens. They don't mean anything. Like,
yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to be pausing. I feel like I'm curious, like, I don't think that Elon Musk or Steve Wozniak, for example, are subject matter experts in artificial intelligence in any sort of meaningful way. And so I'm just curious, like what percentage of the people who have signed or contributed to this open letter work in artificial intelligence, machine learning, or more specifically, like large language models, which appears to me this is what's targeted at. And I can't imagine it's more than a handful of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that industry is going to stop. I don't think Google's going to stop. I don't think OpenAI is going to stop. I don't think any of these. I think I was going to say the letter isn't worth the ink it's printed on, but I doubt anybody even printed the letter out.
Well, I think I kind of feel like that whole like pause for 6 months wasn't that serious. It may have been just put in there to get media attention. I think that would be cynical of me to say, but it might be that way. But importantly, like if this turns into like people thinking more about some safety protocols and something comes of that, like how we should be doing these things to keep people safe and keep people's jobs safe. I don't know how that's going to work. That might be something, but yeah, I don't think anybody's going to pause. There's just too many players and it's too Wild West right now.
And the 6 months thing, it just seems so arbitrary. It just seems like a completely arbitrary thing that somebody said, because there's no, how like there's like standards bodies, like when a new USB protocol comes out, right? Like there's like some standards body that like certifies a new USB protocol, for example, right?
Yeah.
And short of there being like a standards body for machine learning or AI, I don't know what even a discussion about the ethics of these models, or making new models, or improving upon existing models. I don't even know like what that does, what it could potentially accomplish. It almost seems like it almost seems like how on another show people talk about how long form podcasts are going to save the world and make sure everybody does better sense making, right? It seems like a version of that, like, sort of thought process, right? That if we just if just the smart good people got together and talked about this for 6 months, we could solve the problems. It's like, no, you're not gonna. No. You're just stroking your own egos.
Yep.
So that's my take. Is this is like the long form podcast delusion that if we just get a bunch of smart, probably mostly white men together to speak about this, that we will I don't know, have some better ethics and game no, not that ethics and artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
well, see, I think this is like a nothing story. It's an interesting story though, because we are going to have to, because think about 5 or 10 years down the line, what these things are going to be able to do, what they're going to be able to trick you in. They're basically tricking you into thinking that they're thinking, right? But they're going to be better at tricking you into thinking that they're thinking. And so we are going to need, and I brought up USB, or there's, when a new kind of RAM comes out, it has a standard that it follows, right? A new kind of, or like NVMe or SATA or something. And I feel like we're going to either there's going to be like heavy-handed government regulation around this, or we're going to have some standards bodies. The problem with it is going to be that it's not like a standards body for a new kind of cable, right?
Right.
It's a bit more complicated.
People seem to be thinking that the big issue that we're going to have is these guys are going to turn into Terminators and, kill us all or something, It's a little bit less now. I think people finally realize that the real danger of AI is it just stealing all of our jobs and there won't be any jobs left effectively. I don't know that's going to happen.
That, and I mean, I don't think we're very far away from some of these language models being employed to propagandize an entire country, or
that's true,
or create their own botnets to boost things on certain people's websites, or create their own blog sites that look like official news sites to spread misinformation, disinformation. I think that's like the next problem we're going to be dealing with. It's going to literally be large language model lies spreading on the internet.
So what you're saying is they're coming after the Fox News hosts' jobs.
Well, it could be that the people who run some of these news outlets might be employing these models to either create misinformation or give the impression that something is more popular than it is by making very realistic looking posts by things that look like very real people, versus before, like, if bots were amplifying something before, like on Twitter, all they'd be doing is retweeting, liking. You wouldn't see any original content from them, and you'd be able to figure out real quick. Even if you didn't do it yourself, you could do something like Bot Sentinel to figure out if it's a bot. But if there's all these accounts saying different versions of a thing, that maybe a state actor, a political campaign, organized crime, anybody wants to put out a false message for whatever reason, now it's going to look more real. It's going to look like people are having conversations about it versus just the signal getting boosted through more reposts. And I think that's like, we're not far from that.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a problem. Yeah. I don't think that what was that from a RoboCop, Ed 209? I don't think Ed 209 is coming for us.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that's happening.
But I mean, my bias on that is clear too, because that's like what I spend the rest of my week doing, basically, is looking at misinformation. I mean, how far are we away from an AI starting a cult, like on the internet?
Yeah, I can see it happening.
Like, people wouldn't even know that the influencer they're following isn't real.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Wow.
That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Girl boss. and it's actually just an AI. It's like
AI
Chat
boss.
GPT. It's like Chat GPT B, and B is for basic.
Yeah.
Chat GPT Uggs. Oh my god. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. I think it's nothing, but I'm glad we talked about it a little bit, because I think more regular people need to be thinking about what's going to be happening, especially with these large language models, because as they get more realistic and more people have access to them, I think if we've learned anything, people are going to use it for bad stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but I don't know if you can make a regulation around it that's like, do not use for bad stuff.
Don't think that's gonna work.
If they pause for 6 months and that's what they come up with, I'm going to be like, oh, you are the smartest people in the world. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. So here we go. Elon Musk. He's the dog father from Dogecoin, of course.
Yeah.
Is asking a judge to toss a lawsuit that is a $258 billion racketeering lawsuit. The idea is that he used Twitter to pump and dump Dogecoin.
Yeah.
And I am not confident that he didn't use Twitter to pump and dump Dogecoin. In fact, it seemed like for a while that's all he was using Twitter for.
Well, he definitely pumped Dogecoin. Like, whether or not he actually owned any and dumped it, that's, I don't know if that's been made public or what.
Right. And maybe it wasn't even him that owned it. Maybe he was pumping it on behalf of friends of his.
Maybe on somebody else. Yeah.
People he knows, or organizations that he was that he was involved in. Well,
yeah.
Elon being Elon, as soon as this came out, he changed the Twitter logo to the Doge coin, to the Doge logo. So, like I tweeted out, I was like, well, he's being accused of a pump and dump scheme. And what does he do right as that's happening? It seems like he's doing a pump and dump scheme.
I was wondering what happened, because I monitor Dogecoin. I don't own any Dogecoin. I don't own any cryptocurrency at all right now, except very tiny amounts that I can't get rid of. But I was watching it and I looked at it earlier today, and it like jumped up like 20 something percent. Went from like 7 cents to 9 cents. So it wasn't like it was a huge amount or anything, but I was like, well, what happened? And I didn't look that hard, but that totally makes sense. Of course, it's another Elon pump and dump, or another pump from Elon.
I just think that if you're asking a judge to throw out a racketeering case, and then you go on your own website that you just bought and do what appears to be racketeering, that the judge is going to be less inclined to throw the case out, even if the case itself is bullshit, right? Like,
yep.
Like, why would you do that? Like, that's going to be that whoever's filing this lawsuit, I'm assuming it's a class of people filing, right? It can't be one person.
Yeah.
It's a class of people that lost a bunch of money on this coin. And so I figure now that's in the plaintiffs, the plaintiffs' lawyers have included that, I'm sure, in whatever they're going to, submit to the courts next or whatever, because he knew that when he did that, the price of this thing would go up.
Yep.
He can't not know that. That was the dumbest thing he could have ever done.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the amount of money being asked for is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's basically to take his net worth down to zero, or maybe even negative.
Right. And I think that he reduced the chances greatly of the judge just tossing the case through his behavior.
Yeah.
Because that was just a big fuck you, right? Like, to the courts, to everyone. It's not a coincidence that he did that.
Yeah.
He might try to claim it's a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. And so
it's not.
That's just a big fuck you to the plaintiffs, the courts. You know what a judge doesn't like is when you don't take them seriously.
Yep.
I would imagine that is the quickest way to have a case biased against you.
Well, I think the only other one is if you verbally attack the judge like somebody else who we're not going to talk about on this show is doing.
Yeah. But I can't imagine. I can't imagine that move was smart. So I think that the case could have very well gotten kicked, and I have a feeling that if it doesn't get kicked, that it's going to be in no small part because of this behavior that he did here.
Yep.
What a child this man is. I just cannot get over like Kara Swisher says about some of these people, you're so poor, all you have is money.
Yeah.
Like, what a child. Also, like, you have to think that, like, there are serious people that are working at Tesla and at SpaceX, and you have to think that if this continues, some of those serious people who have valuable skills are going to be like, I gotta go. I was going
to say there's serious people at Twitter too, but they probably all left.
Right. But specifically at like SpaceX and Tesla, that's where he's making his money. And there's some of those people just, I mean, there's got to be a ton of people that are just like, oh, they wake up every day and they go, okay, damage report.
Yeah, exactly.
What a dumb thing to do. But I mean, I guess it is.
Yep.
It is our man, Elon. So whatever. My next story isn't about Elon. I couldn't believe this when I read this. Who the hell has 5 million files on Google Drive? Well, if you do, you don't anymore because Google's limiting you to 5 million files on your Google Drive. No matter what, no matter how much space you've paid for, you can't have more than 5 million files on your Google Drive now.
Yeah. So I think the issue was this is also limited to limits on enterprise versions, or maybe not the big enterprise. I don't know. Some of them are unlimited, but it's like basically there are companies who are using this and they got hit with the 5 million files limit because, they're a company and they have a lot of files they have to move around. And, if you have a lot of small files moving around, you could hit this eventually. I wouldn't say quickly, but yeah, it could happen.
I would think if you're running a large enough enterprise though, you were using Google as your back end, you would think you would have had some kind of conversation with them previously. You'd have a
well. That was the big issue with this thing that this limit that they passed out. Like, they're supposed to be with particularly their enterprise level users, keeping them informed. They're going to make a change like that. They should announce it like 6 months ahead of time or something, and do testing and maybe like release it to a few of them at first that think they can handle it, and see how it goes, and then release it to a wider group and, keep communication up so nobody gets screwed by this sort of thing. But this particular update, they apparently just dropped one day. Was it on the 1st or something like that, or at the end of March or something? And so like very few people, it's 5 million files. So not many people were hit by it, but a few of them did, and was just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's you would think that you'd log into your Google Drive like 60 days before this happens, right? And it would say, hey, you currently have 7.3 million files in Google Drive starting on such and such a date. We're going to be limiting all users to 5 million files. If you're an enterprise customer, please contact our customer support, and we may have special plans available for you.
Right.
That's
exactly what they should have done, and that did not happen. From what I can tell from other articles that I've read, I don't think I read this one specifically.
What a weird thing. I mean, Google has kind of a history of screwing around with its services, not just screwing around with them, but like just deleting them.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh, you liked Google Reader, did you? Sorry.
Yeah, they have a long history of killing major projects. There was that website that, killed by Google or something like that. That just had huge list of projects, including a project that I was on. Uh, yeah. So, but this is a project. Google Drive is very popular. They're not going to kill it anytime soon, but they should be doing more, especially if they have, enterprise customers using it. They need to do better with communication and, do stuff to make sure these things don't happen and bite you in the back. But
yeah,
I don't work for Google anymore, so I can complain about them.
Because like, for example, like I have a bunch of storage on my main, like me on Google.
Yeah.
And then I have for Echoplex Media, we have a G Suite because we wanted an email and we didn't want to, we just didn't want to mess with it. And the easiest way to get an email was with G Suite. And paying for storage when we use G Suite is significantly more than if I pay for storage on my personal Gmail account. So one of the things, I mean, it never occurred to me, but you would think that because you're paying more per terabyte or whatever of storage, that you would not encounter things like 5 million file limits because you're paying basically more per gigabyte or terabyte or whatever, because you're using enterprise. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think, I'm not worried about 5 million files, but I could see, what if we ran a TV station? And we were sending a TV, like our TV and radio station, and we would be sending files every day to each other. Audio, just little audio clips, commercials. You'd fill up 5 million files really quick, I think. Especially if you were sending people like packs with the stems of what you were working on. So then then you're sending somebody a folder with, hundreds or thousands of files in it so that they can, pick up where you left off on a video editing project or something like that. Now I just think of like, a big media company is going to fill up 5 million files real quick. But I think they're also going to have a lot of that on site because you have to be able to access it incredibly quickly. So, but this is dumb. This doesn't make sense. I don't know why the number of files matters.
I don't know.
I know when I buy a hard drive, it says, well, this is a 6 terabyte hard drive, but you put 5 million files on it, you're done, buddy. We're not going to let you write to this drive anymore. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand what it does for Google. Like what?
I don't even know. I don't know what the point of the limit was.
Yeah, I can't imagine having more files. Like, it doesn't. If you're just paying for storage, you're just paying for storage, and they just have to store the data. They have to mirror it, but I don't know. I can't. Is it like 5 million? Isn't even like a number, like if it was like a base 2 number, you know what I'm saying? Like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. If it was something like that, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe it's a file system limitation of some kind that they've run up against in their system. But that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. It doesn't fit. Yeah.
But it wouldn't make sense because you're like, well, what do you mean a file system limitation? Are they running all those on one file system? I'm wondering
if it's purely a financial thing. They put the cap on there to push some of these people who are in enterprise that have the lower tier enterprise to a higher tier enterprise that doesn't have the 5 million file limit.
Yeah, or like some kind of.
Sure, there's ones that don't have limits.
Yeah, or some kind of like managed service or something where they. Yeah. Some kind of like a tier above, like just G Suite or whatever. They want people to use some kind of managed thing where they deal directly with like whoever does Google Enterprise stuff. I don't know. Because I mean, Google Drive is, pretty cheap. So
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I wish they'd just raise the price by a few dollars instead of doing this. My God.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't got no 5 million files. My problem is size of files, especially now that we're uploading a video to Google Drive. That's stupid, but that's where we're hosting it for our patrons. And now it's not going to be number of files. That's going to cause me a problem. But I think once I run up against the wall, I'm just going to go and delete stuff from 2 years ago from Google Drive, because I don't think anybody will cry if they can't get a 2-year-old, 6-hour video from a random Catterday or whatever. So
yeah,
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm very curious what the justification for this is. Because I read and I couldn't find anybody saying the justification for it. Like they said, to maintain strong performance and reliability and prevent misuse of the systems. But it's like, how does the number, I don't understand how the number of files makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
I don't know.
I guess hard drive seek time might be a problem here, because they're certainly not storing all this stuff on SSDs yet. I don't know. Yeah, somebody here had 7 million files, and suddenly you couldn't create any new files, even though they hadn't reached their 2 terabyte limit. They should have just told people beforehand. And then maybe people would have complained enough, and they'd have been like, "Oops, no, we're not going to do that." Because that's what's gonna one or two things is gonna happen here. Either they're gonna give some people the hard sell to get them on a different plan, like an unlimited plan, or they're just gonna be like, "Oops," and then not do this anymore.
I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to roll this back. I haven't heard anything, but I think they're getting so much flack on it now that I think there's enough flack that they're going to roll it back temporarily and then do it like they should have done the first time and let everybody know that it's coming back. Because I think it's a money grab thing, and they know they can push some people into higher tiers if they do it.
I'd be pretty pissed off if I spent what is it, $100? If I'm spending $100 a month with them for what is it, 100 is it 100 terabytes you get for $100 or 10 terabytes you get for $100? Then all of a sudden I can't create any new files because I have too many small files. I'd be like, well,
yeah,
I'd just find a new provider immediately.
Yeah,
like you can. I think. I mean, there's a ton of competitors for this.
Yep.
The reason people use this is because it's convenient attached to their Google account, and they don't have to make a new account somewhere, and it's already on their phone. But it's not like there aren't competitors that are cheaper per gigabyte. Not that Google is like outrageous or whatever, but it just seems like I don't even know if it's a money grab. It just seems so arbitrary.
Well, I don't know why else they would do it. Like, why is there a 5 million file limit? I don't see any technical reason why that would be an issue.
If you're going to do, why not just do 1 million files? If you're going to, like, what's the difference? Know. What fundamentally
well, they probably looked at like how many files certain people have, some companies, and see how many people would actually go above that threshold. So they can get just certain people, right?
I think you might be right. I think they might be just trying to get some of the bigger fish to sign up for a different kind of plan, like some kind of managed plan or something like that.
I think so.
And so dumb. Whatever. I guess that's the show. Do you want to read us out, Matt?
I did it last week, so I would like you to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will read us out. I would like to read us out. This has been How the Tech Are You? You can find all of our podcasts at echoplexmedia.com. And there's a new way to support this project. You can go to eplex.store, the same place our shirts are. You can sign up there at the $5 or $10 level, and you get the same benefits you'd get if you signed up on our Patreon, but then you also get a discount on our swag. That's eplex.store. And if you're still partial to Patreon, don't want to sign up for something else, and you have all your subscriptions over at Patreon, I ain't mad at you. Patreon.com/Echoplex. Check out Echoplex Radio at eplex.xyz. All local music all the time. Have a great tech week.